Good morning. My name is Jayson Coil. I'm one of the operations section chiefs for Southwest Area Team 1. Today is July 17th, and this is your operational update. Last night, we had an IR flight over the fire, and the fire was mapped at 15,713 acres. And you'll notice that on our maps, the acreage shown on the maps and the acreage shown on the maps that we use and the maps that are released to the public is based on the acres at the time that map was produced. So it's going to be different. When I report out the acres, I'll try to tell you where that number's from. So like once a night, if we get an IR flight, which we try to do, then we will give you the acres and I'll say off of the IR flight last night. If we did some mapping during the day and we tried to grab a better, a more accurate reflection of the current update, we'll tell you that. So I just want to explain why you will see those different numbers sometimes and let you know that that's all in an effort for us to try to give you the best information we can. We're still showing the fire at 40% contained, and there's 291 people assigned to the incident. So another point of clarification is the smoke in the area. We produced very little smoke over the last 2 days. If some of the things that I talk about today occur, we'll produce more smoke. We'll give you updates about that. But a lot of the smoke in the area is coming from fires outside of this area. So happy to take credit for the impacts that we create, but I did also want to let you know that all the impacts you're feeling are not from us. Another thing I wanted to touch on is firefighter safety and our intent to place the right resources in the right areas. Yesterday, when I talked about the competition for resources in the region and nationally, and the fact that we have to make decisions based on the fact that we have limited resources, I should have clarified that those limited resources are primarily the hotshot crews and the other type 1 resources. There is not a contract equivalent for a hotshot crew. It is not something that we're going to go out and solicit for and then expect them to be able to be capable of and be willing to put them in some of the most difficult terrain on the fire. So they're purpose built for that, and we count on them to do some of the hardest work, and that is the trade-off is that we have limited numbers of them. So that's that situation right now. I'm going to go to the map and walk you guys around from Division Whiskey in the upper left-hand corner all the way around to the bottom of the fire. And I'm deliberately slowing my pace right now so this very loud truck will get by me so you make sure that y'all can hear. I know you can hear. It's just difficult for me to make my words matter whenever there's a bunch of noise around. So with that, let's go to the map. I'm going to read my book and then I'll set it down as we drill down more. But let me back up again. Apologize for that. I'll go to the map in a moment, but I want to set the context for the day. So today we can expect that it's going to be drier and hotter. That's what our weather forecasts are. We should also expect outflows from thunderstorms, and we should expect continued fire growth to the north, and I'll show you where in a moment, and also to the southeast. So those are the expectations for today. I've said this before, but one of the things that I try to do as we're making these plans is appreciate the context, define the problem, develop an approach. So the context is different today. So as I talk about what we're doing in Whiskey and Mike, you'll see why that different context matters. All right, so now I'll go to the map. Up here in Division Whiskey on the northwest corner of the fire, the line that they constructed from drop point 20 all the way down to the road system there to the northwest is complete. They're going to continue to improve that today. And these points where the H's are a pinkish color, that means that the line is planned but not all the way in. Technically the line is all the way in, but it's not improved to the point that we want it to where we feel comfortable of firing off of it. So if you go down to the road system there along the Galena River drainage, if you will, and then follow it back around, that's still the primary control feature. We like to have more than one plan. So the primary plan is to keep the fire within that area and any of the private property in there, protect it. The secondary plan that we're going to start working on today is taking the road system up to the north to where you see those brackets, and then across and take advantage of these polka dotted areas or areas where they've done prescribed fire broadcast burns in the last couple years, and use that as the secondary control feature. Primary effort, secondary effort. The other thing that we're doing as a contingency is these pink X's mean that this is proposed dozer line. So there's a road system right there that they're going to open up today, take the dozer line up to that green line, which designates a wilderness boundary where terrain's too steep to put the dozer any further up. And that's because this area of the fire is the area that's growing the most on the northwest corner of the fire. And that dozer line right there will help provide what we call a checking action to prevent the fire from moving more quickly towards their control line, allow them time to get that completed, and make it where they're able to be able to burn off of this if they need to in a manner that has a higher likelihood of success, basically. Everything else across the top of Division Whiskey is looking good with minimal movement. And if we continue to go around to the east, some fire movement across these fingers yesterday, but again, very minimal. Continue to monitor that. But as that fire transitions to the scabbier, we call it, but the more broken fuels, if you will, as it gets closer towards the drainage bottom, we'll have crews in there, and they'll be able to pick that up. We don't have a lot of concerns with that fire growth down there, as long as it's not pushed by strong outflow winds from thunderstorms. That will complicate challenges. So the other area that we have the most concern about is the La Presa drainage. The fire activity yesterday up high was primarily along this area that I'm pointing out right now. So there's not any geographic features I know that I can reference right here, but this is where we saw the fire growth yesterday, and it's off of the rim. So it's off in very, very steep country. What we don't want to have happen is we don't want rollout, so burning material from the fire above that starts fires further down the slope, to establish itself in the bottom of the La Presa drainage and then run up this bowl. If that happens, the fire intensity will be extreme. It will create a lot of, we call it untoward fire effects, but it will basically make it where that is more prone to erosion and impacts to the Rio Chama watershed, and impacts to the bridge, impacts to the land grant area down to the east. And so there's a lot of different things that are going to be happening today to help prevent that. Number one is if there's any of those areas where we see that fire's rolled out and has gotten lower on the slope where it can make a run back up, then we'll use aircraft to suppress that. Number two is we're going to develop a firing plan around the top of this bowl. That plan is going to be developed, and we're going to be ready to implement that in the event that we're not able to prevent that fire from moving further down the slope. Because we want to, if fire's going to get in this bowl, we want to make sure that the fire gets in the bowl from the top and backs down where it's lower intensity, then wait for it to get established at the bottom and run up the drainage. The third thing we're going to do is continue to work on the road systems out, the 474 and then the 151 and the other road systems out here, improve those as control features and make sure that we can protect all of the values that are off there to the east. So all those actions are going on concurrently. We have a drier and hotter day today, an expectation of outflow winds, and several days of just kind of real mild monsoonal activity over the next week or so. Based on that, we know that we can't just plan on the rain putting the fire out. And so we're taking actions in those two areas that we have the most concerns with right now to lessen the impacts if this weather that's more favorable to fire growth continues. That is the end of the operational report for today. Thank you.